Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this very special yet very hard episode is Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Becky.
And Carolina. Hey, Carolina.
Hello.
Um, I made you guys choose and make choices.
You were really mean. This was super hard.
I actually didn't find it. Actually, my top three were solid. It became the four and five.
I think so. On this episode of Buzzing About Romance, we are hosting our second annual Book Boyfriend Tour. The I Licked Him First 2023 tour kicks off with a list of our ultimate book boyfriends for this year. What we did is we included our book boyfriends that are from books that were published either in 2022 or 2023. And we just please note that we will be doing again our Girl Crush tour in early November, and Carolina and Heather will be back for that one. But I think that's it. You know, I had some standouts, like he's on my list. The other problem is because oftentimes when I read a book, I make you all read the book too. And then I had to go toe to toe with some of you to get my boyfriends.
We had to negotiate.
We did. There might have been some fist fighting. If we were in closer proximity, there probably would have been some arm wrestling.
This totally would have been like a duel at dawn for
a few of them.
Right. And we each have, and with that, we also then have similar tastes where there are some standby authors who consistently are giving us amazing characters who we love and we fight over.
Yeah.
I also think our lists have a really good balance. We have some crossover for sure because we each, if we each read a book, typically Becky reads them first. And then lovingly forces us to read them. But there's also some ones I think that are different, that also speak to our reading styles. So I feel like it's a good mix.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's a good mix, and I think we absolutely did a great job to make sure that I don't think we have any crossover authors either. I think we kept it.
Maybe one.
Maybe one.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on.
I'm just going to be honest.
Number 5.
Okay. I'm going to throw myself under the bus so Carolina and Becky don't have to. We are recording this when life is really hectic for me, and Becky was putting me where I had to choose and I couldn't. So I have a list of approximately 9 books, and it's going to be a roll of the dice of who I choose. I have my top 2, but the other ones, I'm not sure. We're going to just see what happens today.
Oh, I love it.
Well, we're recording this, and what's happening is because of the Labor Day holiday, we're recording it early, and then it'll drop September 10th. And also note, we will have another exclusive I Licked Him First t-shirt that will show up on our merch store. We reopened our Teespring store. The company sold, and merchandise is now coming back out at a fairly good rate. We've added and dropped some new designs. So we will have an I Licked Him First 2023 tour shirt. And on the back of the shirt will be a list of all of our book boyfriends. So that will come out. I don't know if it'll launch with the launching of this episode because I am traveling when this episode comes out. So we will see.
Perfect.
So before we get too far into our list, because we are going to spend a lot of time on this list, I do want to talk about characteristics and qualities of a book boyfriend. Because really, it's very personal. And do your book boyfriends reflect the type of human that is your partner in this life? Because as I was making my list for this year, it kind of is. a lot of my book boyfriends share similarities to my real
Mm.
life person.
Yes and no. I have found I have a very soft spot for grumpy guys. I like them really grumpy. For some reason. I don't know.
And your partner, he's not grumpy.
No, he's your golden he exudes golden retriever energy all the time.
Frat boy puppy.
Mhm. Yeah.
What about you, Carolina? What kind of characteristic qualities do you see in your book boyfriends?
So I found that a lot of mine, there was a few grumpy ones. They all kind of had this like calm, steady way about them. Um, Actually, most of them did. And most of them have those like strong protector vibes, like touch her and die kind of thing. Um, my husband has a little bit of the protector, but he won't unalive anybody. It doesn't go that far, but he's more of golden retriever energy too. Whereas like the heroes are the, I wouldn't call them introverts, but like they're the observant, like step back. So it's interesting. There's some qualities that are, and there's some that aren't.
Yeah.
And um I have a few dirty talkers in there. I have a thing for dirty talking. So I'm
Um,
just gonna
yes,
say what it is and say yes, I like that.
I do
I
like
like
that in
that
my book boyfriends.
everywhere.
I also like a book boyfriend that listens, and that is not
Mhm.
Mhm.
necessarily a quality that my partner exudes.
I also know, I would also say some of these are acts of service is like a love
Ooh.
language. And that is very much my husband. So like they show versus tell.
So that's
Um,
interesting. Do your book boyfriends kind of speak to your love language?
well, that's my husband's how he shows his love.
Right.
So there's a lot of that in what they how they show their love.
Now,
Mine are the kind of guys who are extremely like alpha tough guys, but they allow their woman, I guess, or girl, or however you want to say it, to be her. Like
Yeah.
they stand back and they're like, we will
Mhm.
100% or I will 100%
Mhm.
support you, but I am not going to fight your battle because I know you don't want me to fight your battle, but I'll be there. You say jump and I'll say how high and I will be there. But they
Mhm.
don't step in when they know that she doesn't want them to.
I would say a lot of mine have the same way. Because they love the strength in their women and they
Mm-hmm.
see strength in their women and their heroines that some of them, some of my heroines know that they're strong, and
Yep.
the heroes like don't, like the heroines set boundaries and the heroes respect that. Other ones that they're building up their strength or like fully realizing it, and the heroes just encourage and support. um
yeah.
so
I mine as I look at them, if you come to me and say, Becky, what's your favorite type of hero? Not I'm gonna tell you an alpha hero. An alpha hole, give me the strong guy. I like that. But as I sit here and I look at my list, while yes, they are alphas, there's only two that I would say are alpha, alpha hole, stern brunch daddy, a little grouchy kind of guy. So it's interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
also think it's how I think a big piece of picking a book boyfriend is how they either embrace, support, or lift up the heroine.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they help her shine or love her where she's at or whatever the case might be in that story, if they are an exalted example of that, that absolutely
Mhm.
gets them higher on my list.
Well, it also brings a balance to the two characters, because what you don't want when, and I don't connect to characters where they're like weighted differently. Like you feel someone's stronger or someone's like being pulled along like on their coattails, like because I don't respond to that. I don't like books like that. I want characters that can go toe to toe, even if that's part of their foreplay. Like you want them to have, I don't know, I respond better to that in the stories, and these heroes reflect that.
Do your heroes in these book titles and in these heroes, do they line up to your favorite trope? And I ask this
Ooh.
question because so a lot of people ultimately will say like my favorite trope is enemies to lovers. Oh, okay. But if you think about this conversation and the characters we are looking at, an enemy, that tension, that angst would make it harder to have them become that swoony book boyfriend vibe.
Mhm.
So, do your trope, your favorite trope, does it line up to who your heroes? And for Heather, because she picked like every hockey guy ever, probably yes.
I don't, it's so ironic. I don't necessarily love enemies to lovers, which is very funny because I'm a huge mafia fan. And like arranged marriages are my kryptonite. So they usually aren't, you know, real great about, like, they don't love it. But I love friends to lovers. I know Becky hates it, but I love a friends to lovers where I like how they have like a friendship or they have a connection or a relationship and they just take it to the next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or a frenemies. Like I have a guy and I have one. It's sort of like a frenemy. Like I don't think he wants to be so like a enemy to anyone, but he's just real doesn't want to let people in.
Deep in his feels.
Very deep.
What about you, Carolina? Do your book boyfriends line up to your favorite trope?
Yeah, I think a few. I feel like my book boyfriends are pretty balanced with the tropes. Like it's not heavy one trope per se. I mean, as we go through this, I could be completely wrong, but I was just doing a quick kind of comparison. I think it's pretty balanced. I have a couple that are have a little enemies to lovers vibes. Um, there's a lot of close proximity, which I love, in that. And of course, I have at least one cowboy. So I had to have a cowboy on my list. Um,
I mean, we would all be sad if you didn't.
It'd be
yeah,
like it'd be like me not having a hockey player.
I
It's just
know.
the universe would go off its axis and it
And
can't we can't function.
right. And I like, let's see, close proximity, workplace is in there, and I have sports. So I have like one hockey player or one hockey person and one football person. So I think it's pretty balanced. It
Okay.
hits kind of all like it hits a lot of my favorite tropes.
Okay, so just like last year, except instead of just two of us, you get three of us. We each will be providing blah, 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 blah. We will each be providing you with our top five ultimate book boyfriends, published, like I said, in 2022 or 2023. Also, we will give you the community winner of for the Buzzing About Romance community, their book boyfriend, ultimate book boyfriend pick. So we started back at the beginning of August and we had 10 days of nominations. And then we had 8 days of voting in round one. The top 10 had a round of voting. And then we ended in a tie. And the Buzzing About Romance Patreon then took to the vote of the top two of the community nominations. And that ended in a tie. So uh, we pulled all the contributors and we decided to let new on the scene contributor Amanda, um, she helped break the tie. So we will give you the community winner after we give you our lists. So, um, Are we doing these in a particular order or are these in no particular order? Which
I
way?
have a
I think,
I have a particular order.
oh, I'm not gonna go in particular order. We should go alphabetical.
Okay.
So then it's not a fight.
Oh my gosh.
Like the three of us go alphabetical. So it would be A, B, C. So Becky, Carolina, and then Heather. Does that sound fair?
That sounds
Oh,
fair.
I'm talking.
Yeah, but your book
Oh,
boyfriends in my alphabet.
oh no, I can't do that. That's too much work on a after working again. No,
So your book boyfriends are given in no particular order.
none.
Okay. So let's start. We're going to start with our number 5 on the list, so our very last one we're going to give you, we will give you our top one last. So our top of the list, ultimate book boyfriend, will be last. So we will go in.
You have to listen to the whole episode to
You have
get our
to
top book
Yes.
boyfriends.
to hear all the top book boyfriends. Um, and then what we're gonna do for you is we will share the book, the character's name, the book title, and then we'll tell you a few qualities about the character and why they were a book boyfriend for us. Um, and we really would love for you guys to read all of these books and then come back and tell us if they were swoony enough for you. Okay, so we're doing this alphabetically, Heather.
Sure. I don't
No,
know.
however order Becky can do it so she
Yeah.
doesn't skip somebody.
Yeah, I did that in the
Becky
last
does-
episode.
You did. And well, and that episode was a little crazy because it was like small town, like superlative. So we had like 20 categories.
It's like an
Oh my
hour and
goodness.
20 minutes long episode, but I listened to it today while I was cleaning and doing dishes. It's a great episode. Like so many great book recs.
Your TBR is going to blow up.
It was so good. Okay. So I guess I will start first. So number 5 on my list. This is terribly hard.
I know. We can't rank them. They're
Um,
not a fantasy football team. We just, they're
Okay.
all great.
I'm going to go with Caleb Grayson. He is the hero from Love Me Today by A.L. Jackson. This is book 1 in her Time River series. It's a little romantic suspense, small town romance. He is a billionaire hero, but for me, what wins it is he is a protector. He is given the care of his niece after his sister has been murdered. And he is guarded and cautious with the people he loves. And this is an enemies to lovers kind of vibe because he comes up against the heroine and he doesn't want to let her in. He doesn't want to trust her. So she has this way of kind of warming into his heart. But even as he doesn't want to let her in, he will do anything to make his niece feel safe and happy. And the heroine is a horseback riding instructor, and it's just, if you haven't read A.L. Jackson, there's a poeticism to her books and just kind of a swoon. And this book crescendos, and it's phenomenal. So that's Love Me Today by A.L. Jackson, Caleb Grayson. Okay, Carolina, who's your number 5?
Number 5 for me is Hunt Walker from See Me by Stacey Kennedy. This is book 4 in the Phoenix series. We meet him throughout the series because this is found family. You meet both of the characters, him and the heroine Lottie. And he has been pining for her since book 1. So God, I love a good pining hero, right? And so this is them, and she's always kept him at bay. And you finally find out, and his protective vibes come through so strong. She has a lot. You learn the secret that she's keeping and why she's keeping it, and he helps build her up, which I love so much. All of my book boyfriends have great chemistry with their heroines. Part of this series is it's a voyeur sex club, so they also do some deliciously steamy scenes like on their own. But just the care and protectiveness he takes with her is everything.
I love that series. I mean, as you know, Carolina, because I made you read it.
It's so good.
Heather, who is your number 5 or number rando? I don't know what to
Number 5. I'll just go with number 5. Okay. It is Graham Morgan, and he is in the book Crying Shame, written by author duo Rebel Shaw. This was book 2 in their like they started releasing. We thought it was going to be kind of like a short series, but it's not. This was a standalone. So Graham Morgan, it lives in a small town, and he is a pharmacist, and he is sort of like a rake, and he is a workaholic, and he just kind of does not want to settle down. And his best friend's sister, Addison, is a single mom, and she is a first grade teacher, and she's the sweetest. They end up having to live together, and Graham finally gives in and just realizes like Addie, he cannot not be with Addie. And what makes Graham so amazing is that Addie is a single mom, and the way Graham is with Noah will literally melt your heart. He is
it
he is
just
so sweet, and he completely does a 180 because he knows that Addison deserves him to be the best version of himself, and he can really be who he is. The other thing I really love is that Addison is his best friend's sister, and he went to his best friend and was like, I'm gonna date your sister, and the brother did not throw a hissy fit. I loved how mature they were, and the brother said, if this is what Addie is, an adult, and if this is what she wants, I am happy for her, but if you do hurt her, I will literally kick your butt.
that book. Oh, that book.
So
So much
good.
swoon. That they're them together is so much
Mhm.
swoon. So much
They're
swoon.
like, when you read a couple and you're thinking to yourself, I'm just so glad these two found each other. Like the world just comes together, and you're like, you just really belong together. And they bring out the best in each other. And Graham was a workaholic, and he really had no reason not to work all the time. But Addie and Noah gave him that reason where he was like, my life is better because they're in it.
It's such a great book.
Oh.
Okay,
Mhm.
so my number 4, but really no particular order, guys. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Tucker from Before We Fall by Aurora Rose Reynolds. So he is an undercover FBI agent working with the Nashville police in this book. But he and his heroine meet because their spouses are having an affair. And it takes
Oh.
place after, like, so she contacts Tucker and says, hey, I think your wife is sleeping with my husband. Here is my proof. And they end up connecting and becoming friends and then dating. She's a single mom, and Tucker is that super protective but grumpy. He grew up in foster care system, and he has his brothers that he trusts, but he doesn't trust anyone else. And now, especially after his ex-wife has cheated, there's a maturity to him that really just wins for me. Um,
Mhm.
he also accepts people where they're at. Like, he definitely has that law enforcement brain that comes to snatch judgment. But for like his heroine, he doesn't push his agenda, doesn't push his attraction, just kind of accepts her where she's at. Um, but he also challenges her when she starts to try to give in to things. He's like, is that the best choice? So he challenges her in a way that helps her grow also. But also allowing her to go back to work after being not having worked for 5 years. And he doesn't mind helping support her in her career and doesn't get mad when she's spending time working and doing things. Um, so I really love him. He's great. Oh, and he can dirty talk like
Mm.
nobody's business. He can dirty talk. Okay, Carolina, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Maddox Taylor from Now's the Time by Harlow Jeans. This is a workplace, kind of that close proximity. He is the football star quarterback. She is the PR rep that the team brings on. She has a long-standing rule, like she does not have relationships, she does not do flings, anything with um, football players, athletes, period. And so they end up having a steamy one night, and then realizes that she has to work with him. But what I love about him, first, their chemistry is fire. They have immediate connection. Their banter is great. He keeps her on her toes. Like every time she puts a wall up, he finds a way to like work around it. And helps kind of like brick by brick bring those down. Um, because she is like that ball busting PR rep. So she needs somebody like with that strength and with kind of that cocky confidence to like say, no, we have something good here. Like, come on. Not to mention he is a dirty talker, but he also tells dirty jokes to kind of help break her out of her shell. And help her like not out of her shell. She can get very like one track mind focused because of her work ethic, which I can relate to. So kind of to break that ice and to kind of make her stop, and like he tells dirty jokes. So you get to like laugh a lot throughout the book. They both have some serious situations they have worked through or working through. So there's also kind of this balance between them that they can lean on each other through.
Okay. Heather, who's your number 4? But
Oh,
in no particular
okay.
order.
I like made a final decision while we were talking. Okay,
Okay.
this one is Hades by Anna Hackett, and it is the Sentinel Security uh, series.
Series.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
It
words
is
are hard.
Mateo. His code name is like Hades. But his real name is Matteo Mancini. And again, he is sort of a ladies' man and is like a smooth talker. Just he's gorgeous and he has all the right words, blah blah. But he is sent to this restaurant to meet with a CIA agent, and this agent was talked into going, and she normally is behind a computer. Her name is Gabby. She's a CIA analyst. She shows up at this restaurant and all like it just like chaos, right? For some reason, Mateo is like totally enamored with Gabby. He just literally cannot. His connection with her was instantaneous. She is super smart. She is comes from like her family is horrible, but he completely sees her for everything she is, falls head over heels. She brings him to his knees and she doesn't even know she's doing it. And they just make this really amazing team. He has funny banter and she's kind of serious and he's like quick-witted and he's like golden retriever energy. And he's amazing. I just love it. And I love how he's like, she's so smart. I don't understand why she's with me, but she's so smart. I just love that he sees her for who she is.
That's so funny. Okay, next up for me is Easton Blake from Iced Out by Veronica Eden. So, if you are a fan of The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and you think Griff is like the swooniest of swoon, meet Easton Blake. He
Yes,
is, yes, please, says Heather. Um, he is a caregiver, and the way that he is so thoughtful in the way he treats her, and it's a college romance. We all know how I feel about new adult. Like I tend to shy away from them, but there was something powerful in this book, and when he sets his mind to something and he makes you a priority, you feel like you are queen of the world, and you are the queen of his world. and the way he goes out of his way for her um, was amazing. And nothing about her, including like her period, scared him. Like he was in it. Um, and she's relationship shy and hard to trust. And he meets her where she's at. They share donuts. It's just so freaking swoony. Like I love him. And in the book, she deals with the death of a loved one, and he just shows up and just sits with her. And I cannot go on enough about Mr. Easton Blake. He is phenomenal.
Awesome. He's great.
I love that book. I'm desperate for the next book
Yeah.
in this series, but I love
Same.
this book. Carolina, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Beckham Beck Cross from Something Unexpected by V. Keelan. V. Keelan?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Vivi, doesn't matter.
By Vivi. I always feel like I say it wrong. Beck is our grumpy billionaire.
So grumpy.
He's deliciously grumpy is what I like to call it. But he has, like, as you read the book, you realize he's so much more observant and thoughtful than you initially think about him, which I love in a hero, right? And his heroine, they kind of have Nora as the heroine. They had these like enemies to lover vibes because when he like they have this like first meet cute and then a re-meet cute. Because she ends up being the woman that's traveling with his grandmother to check off her bucket list. So there's a little bit of this like you're not who you say you are, and they really end up using kind of fighting as a foreplay, which is pretty awesome. But and this one also, like, he ends up pursuing her. He becomes smitten with her in the respect because she keeps pushing him off, like, no, I don't want anything. We almost had this, like, they almost had a one night stand, but it didn't quite happen. And he is just super infatuated with her, so he keeps trying for something. She's like, I don't want anything serious. And throughout the book you understand more why, but he's also a single dad, and so when you meet his daughter, his 6-year-old daughter, you like melt even more for this man, and the relationship they have together and the things he does. His daughter's not part of the Girl Scouts, but they have this little thing that he helps, like, help her earning her badges. Like, she creates her own badges because she wants something to do. And it's just great. Plus the man loves whiskey, and when he travels he tries locally made whiskey. So that's my kind of man right there too.
That's your kind of man. Heather, who's number 3?
I'm gonna flip a coin, and it is Coming Home for Us by Brian Ryan, Elijah Wilder, and Maddie. So Elijah has been, like, from page 1, when meeting the Wilders, I have been in love with him. In love.
He's so
Well,
freaking
me and Maddie.
grouchy.
Oh my God, he is kind of crabby, and he lost. He was dating someone and she died very unexpectedly, and so he experienced a lot of grief and sort of just felt like he was not going to ever love again. He was not willing to go down that road, because when you love someone, then that means like it hurts if something goes wrong. And he worked very closely with Maddie, and Maddie has been in love with him for a really long time, and he is sort of just faced with being alone, and he is not about that, and he just kind of decided that he needed to buck up and not get over his grief, but move it aside so he's allowed to like move on with his life. And he and Maddie kind of decide to let their feelings all air out, and he's a dirty talker. Oh, is he a dirty talker? And he is has gone through therapy, and so he's very emotionally available, even though he's somewhat emotionally closed off. Like it's very hard to explain. Like
But he
he
does
is good
listen
about
too.
he does, and he is like he is not well he is willing to make sacrifices that she did not know he was willing to make because he is 100% serious about his own happiness and her happiness. And it was really, really, really amazing. He's very closed off. His grief hit him, but he is somewhat open. The other thing, I know Becky doesn't love epilogue, so she might not have read this epilogue, but Carrie Ann Ryan did an extended epilogue. You 1000% know that these two are happily ever after, but she did an epilogue years down the road, and I tell you, I ugly cried.
I
It
don't
is
think I read
epic.
that. I don't think I read that.
I know you wouldn't.
Why
So
am I
good.
not surprised that Becky didn't read the epilogue?
Okay. I will say I let Heather have the Wilder brother. I was gracious because I had a Wilder brother originally on my list, and I'm really trying to show love to a variety of authors. And so I let Heather. So
I think what is fair to say, yes, I will say that choosing a Wilder brother was very hard.
very hard.
Very, very hard. And I think part of the reason that I chose this one is because I also love Maddie.
The heroine.
She was like the heroine in this. Like she has been in through the whole series, and she's sort of like your best friend or one of your really good friends. And you're just like, hey, you dumbass Elijah, how do you not see all this in front of you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's why this book is, and that's what makes Elijah, he kind of wakes up, and that's what makes him so great.
Okay, so number 2 on the list for me, Austin Hale, From What Heals Us by Maggie Gates. This is book 2 in the Falls Creek, North Carolina series, and I've been talking about this since I read it back in May. I have made Jenny read it, and she equally fell in love. It's a series of first responders, which are hard for Jenny, and she loves them, and we're obsessed with Falls Creek. But Austin Hale, he is a firefighter, and he comes up against a kindergarten teacher. And
Comes up against it.
yes, but she is a virgin. She's also kind of the town sweetheart. She's a kidney transplant recipient, and everybody in the town treats her like she's different and with kid gloves. And Austin is new to town, and he has moved to town because his sister is living in the town, and his sister finds out she is pregnant, and he moves to town to help her take care of herself while she's pregnant. And he meets his heroine, and everybody in the town treats her like she's made out of glass, and he doesn't. He's attracted to her. He's this big giant 6'4" guy, and she is literally 5'1". And he talks about how tiny she is, but don't get in her way, because when she's a force when she wants done what she wants done. And Austin, I think because of the nature of being like a firefighter, he is a caretaker. He is very thoughtful in how he approaches helping his heroine. And he's a fixer. He wants to fix everything. And one of the secrets in the town is someone in the town donated their kidney to the heroine. And she does not know who it is, but it's something she wants to know. And Austin, in the course of this book, comes across this information. And he is willing to give his heroine everything she needs in order to hear this information, even at the detriment of some other relationships in his life. Anyway, she's first. She's first. First thing he thinks about, first thing he does.
Mm.
And there's this hilarious scene in this book where there's a winter carnival fundraiser that the town puts on, and they do kids games like musical chairs and stuff, but while you drink. And so it's all adult themed kids games. So there's a dodgeball, but you drink. Anyway, hilarious things happen at this musical chairs and stuff. Um, okay, so that's my number two. Carolina, who's your number two?
My number two that I I know I had to fight off people for this one. And they graciously let me take this one, is Canon West, Canon by Sawyer Bennett. Um he yeah, just I
Yeah.
love Canon. I love Canon. So he is the coach for the hockey team, and talk about like a calm, steady, like welcoming presence that the team needs and that Ava needs. They meet at the coffee shop that she works at, and they just start this friendship. Like, can't believe that she knows enough like to figure out who he is, and they just keep it casual. And then like things build up, and they go out drinking one night, and one thing leads to another. Um and we meet our dirty talking hero. Like, it's hot, and I may have like went back to that chapter and listened to it again because it was so damn good. That may or may not have happened. But what I love about him is that he supports Ava without overstepping, respecting her boundaries, because she comes into situations where like a lot of things hit all at once in her life. And he kind of, as a coach, wants to be a fixer and help her solve it. But she's like, no, let me do this. And there's a point in her story where she's trying to make some decisions, so he's like, okay, let me coach you through this. So he like coaches her up, like what he would do with the team and the players, and it's super cute. And she folds into the whole like hockey world and women crew so naturally, and they welcome her. And they become protective of her, and he kind of becomes pissed because like the team owner is able to like help her against her ex. He's like, I wanted to do that.
Such a
um
great scene. That is
it is so
such a
good.
great scene.
But they also have balance. There's a balance in that. And you also talk about a maturity, an emotional maturity of a character, because he is a widow. He lost his wife to cancer, but he also knows, like, he's been through the therapy and he's made the steps, and like he knows moving forward what that's like. So
Yeah,
he's great.
he's a good one. Heather.
Well, my next one is Kellen McCord, and he is from Codename Omega, also by Sawyer Bennett. Helen is new to the team. This is the final book in the Jameson Security book, which was emotionally hard. It was some mourning. He falls for Abby Blackburn, who is the most amazing, sassy vet you have ever met in your life. She is so feisty and amazing. Within like 24 hours
Yeah,
of meeting her, he like harbors stolen property. He finds her protesting, and he ends up bailing her out of jail. And he is like, I am in love.
yeah.
This girl is it for me. And he is out of the military. He has his service dog, and he's just like a really like even keeled, laid back guy. And Abby finds herself in some real sticky situations, And I think some men would like barge in there and be like, whoa, hey, we're not doing this. And Kellen is like, all right, so I'm just going to provide a little backup here. And then whatever Abby gets herself into, we're just going to work ourselves out of this as a team. And there's a scene with her brothers, and he like physically moves himself and he stands back. And she even like vocalizes like in her internal dialogue, like, I know he's there to support me, but he's allowing me to fight my own battles. Like,
Love that.
he and he comes from like this very stable home, and he loves his dog so much. And then it's just, you guys, he is so great.
It's a
And I just
great
love
book.
him.
It's such a great book. And the
It's
fact that
so
he's like
great.
taking stolen possession of stolen property, bailing her out of jail, like all within the
Yeah.
first like 5 chapters.
Yeah, and he goes and he kind of makes it known, like, you don't want to F with me. Like, I don't know if you know who I am, but I know people who are a big deal. So back off, kind of, right? Um, and he isn't like, he's just a guy that you always want on your team, and he adores her and he treats her so well, but not like with kid gloves, because she doesn't need that. And he just loves her exactly the way she is and doesn't want her to be different.
Yeah. Okay, so number 1, here is our ultimate book boyfriend for our 2023 I Licked Him First tour. And for me, the answer is Wild from Sawyer
No,
Bennett.
it isn't.
Just kidding.
I was
You
gonna say,
already
you
picked
already
him.
did that one. What?
It's really hard not to pick him.
You know, he is so
You already
great, though.
picked him.
He's so swoony, though. Anyway,
And then we'd have 3 Sawyer Bennetts in a row, which is no surprise to anyone who reads or knows us.
listens. Yeah, anybody who listens to this podcast is like, yeah, how come they're not all like Sawyer Bennett? Anyway,
Okay, but you have a really good number 1 pick, and let's just like we negotiated. Becky and I negotiated on this one. So we negotiated our number 1 picks.
we did. So my number 1 pick is Noah Winters from Every Shade of Winter by Carrie Elks. This is part of the Winterville series. And this book is really
North, right?
the 5th, because Chris's book
North.
is 6. Oh, North, yeah.
You said Noah.
Oh, because I have Noah written here, Noah Winters, but it's North. North Winters. I wonder if my word like corrected it.
I'm like, that's not who we're talking about.
That's okay. Sorry. North Winters, from Every Shade of Winter by Carrie Elks. If you have hung out with Caroline and I at any point in the last 9 months, we are obsessed with Winterville.
I want to go to Winterville. I want to like live in Winterville. I want to frolic and visit all the things.
We found it last year when we were doing quick shots for Christmas books, and this series is everything. Everything I want in small town family spicy romance. Like, it's just, but
And all wrapped in like holiday vibes.
right. But let's talk about Mr. North. He is, first of all, the grumpiest human that lives in a Christmas town. Like, grumpy. He owns the Christmas tree farm, and he hates people. And he's mad when people show up at the Christmas tree farm. But his co-owner and his heroine, she makes him chop wood and do it in front of crowds. And they even built a room where people can watch him in the winter chop the wood.
It becomes an attraction for the ladies.
He does. Like, the ladies come to the Christmas tree farm just to watch him chop wood. But North is also that friend you call when you are in a crisis. And he's always going to be the shoulder to lean on. He's a bit of an enigma through his other siblings' books and his cousins' books, but he is He's just solid. He's the guy that shows up for you time and time again. And his heroine finds out that the night before she's pregnant. It's the night before her wedding, and she calls off her wedding. Um, but she's not pregnant by North. She's pregnant by her ex fiance. She finds out her ex fiance cheated on her.
Mhm.
And North just steps up to be her best friend because it's a friends to lovers. And he steps up just to help support her all the while this love just blooms. And it just there's a little bit of kinkiness in this book, with
Mhm.
some lactation. And also he's a freaking dirty talker like no one's business. Like no one's business. I think he might take top dirty talker for this episode. He gives Cannon a good
Wow.
bit for his
Yeah, he
money.
gives Can a run for his money. Yeah, he does. They
Um,
could, I would be okay them duking it out. We'll just listen.
we'll just listen. So yeah, North Winters from Every Shade of Winter by Carrie Ann Elks is my 2023 ultimate top book boyfriend. So Carolina, again, you and I fought for this one.
Mm-hmm.
He was on my list, but
Mm-hmm.
I very kindly let you have him.
If you do say so yourself. Uh, okay, my number one, hands down, book boyfriend is Callahan Cowboy Whiskey from For the Love of Whiskey by Melissa Foster. Okay, first off, he's a cowboy, so we knew we had to have a cowboy on the list, right? Like,
Right?
and he just happens to make the top of it because he's truly that cowboy in every sense of the word. He's got like the manners and the protectiveness and the like Becky and I have talked about this. He's got a little bit of the like Rip from Yellowstone vibes that he will go to whatever ends of the earth to protect his heroine. But I would also say he's got a little bit more of a tender side than Rip does, because he shows it not only with the heroine Sully, but also with his siblings. Like his family talks about he was a protector from like birth. That is who his character is. Just that steady person, but he will find retribution for anybody who does you wrong. Um, Also love that, he has the acts of service or his love language where he sleeps on the porch when Sully escapes a um, cult, and she's taken to Redemption Ranch for like safe harbor and safekeeping. And he sleeps on the porch so she can have her own space, but also know that she has protection. He buys her art supplies. He takes her on long walks. Like, we don't have to say anything. I'll just walk with you at night. Um, and but he's also like, she wants to explore, and like the first time she meets the horses, it's just this gentle like, okay, I'm gonna call them over, I'm gonna whistle them over, and they're gonna come galloping at you, but they're gonna stop before they get here. Like he talks her through like every step and every experience, and like, are you okay with this? This is going to be okay. This is what we're going to do. Do you want to try this? Like, he helps open those doors for her. But I have to say that I fell for him the minute, like, in their first meet cute, where he comes over and he, like, the first time they meet, she's at this couple's house that helped her. She's already escaped, but they help her like protect her a little bit more, and then he's picking her up to take her to Redemption Ranch, and she sees that she's nervous, and he bends down on one knee and he takes off his hat, and like he just talks to her in this like calm, tender voice, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm done, I'm toast. Like, Cowboy
So
Whiskey is the
sweet.
one. um Read the book, it's amazing, but if you want a whole new experience, like, listen to the audiobook, because that just takes it over the edge.
It's Aiden Snow.
It's Aiden Snow, and Meg Sullivan. Like
Say less.
A plus casting. Cowboy Whiskey, he's mine.
He's yours and only
He's mine.
yours.
He's only mine. And yes.
Um, seriously, we're just gonna have to fight it out for that one.
We will fight it out, and I'm gonna win because he's mine.
Heather, number one. And I would like to also state, for the record, this bitch stole him
For
from
sure.
me.
I did.
Like,
I'm proud of it.
she's like, I don't care. I'll give up every other one of my picks. This one is mine, hands down. I'm taking him. And I'm just like, whoa. Like, she's the nice one. Heather is the nice one in the group.
Well, and then when she's ready to go to battle, watch out because
He's mine.
She totally took my knees out. Like, I was on the ground. She won.
before Becky could even blink, it was like, bam, that was fast.
I'm
Like,
like,
do you want to do the book boyfriend tour? And I said, sure, but this one's mine.
yeah, like I didn't.
No arguments.
I didn't even have a chance to be like, okay, well, I'm thinking about these. She's like, this one,
Nope.
mine. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So Heather, tell everyone, who is your number one book boyfriend of 2023?
Xavier Montgomery from Made for You by Natasha Madison. Okay. Xavier is just my whole heart. I adore him for so many reasons. One, he is grumpy, but he doesn't want to be grumpy. He is grumpy as a shell to protect himself from getting hurt from people that he doesn't trust. And along comes Vivian, and they are in a marina, and so they both have these boats. And he has his little sidekick, which, by the way, Made for You might be about Xavier and Vivian, but really the whole star of the entire book is Beatrice. Beatrice is Xavier's dog, and when he talks to Beatrice, he talks to her like a human and like she's sassing back at him. And he's like, no, Beatrice, Beatrice, what is the rule? What is the rule? What did we talk about this? All right, Beatrice, we're going to go on a walk and here are the rules. And it is freaking hilarious. He is funny and doesn't even try to be funny because he just he doesn't realize how ridiculous he is. And Beatrice, like, the way it's described, she like puts his nose up and he's like, fine, you're just being so sassy. She goes over to Vivian's boat, and Vivian and Beatrice then start in the same banter, and they use Beatrice. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you have not read Made for You, I don't know what you're doing, but just so you know, he's mine. So he is very, very grumpy.
Read it, but you can't have him.
Nobody can have him. You can read it, but you just can't have him. And I think he really struggles with anxiety, and the mental health rep in this book was done so very well. And I love how we learn some things about our heroine, Vivian. And he is like, holy crap, he is so impressed by her, and he is so blown away and like so excited and so proud of her. There is one instance where they're standing with her family, and she comes from this giant family, like the Grants and the Stones, and like they're all overbearing and ridiculous. And she is explaining this, and he is standing in front of this room with all these hockey greats and he's a hockey player. And he is like, isn't she so amazing? He is like so giddy for her because her family gets to see how amazing she is. And he just stands back like, isn't she fabulous? And here he is like, he's just, oh my God, I love him so much.
I think my favorite scene in that whole book is when she touches his first edition books.
Oh, yes.
And you learn very early on that she's an author, but nobody knows that she's an author. And he paid big money for these signed first editions from this author that is her pen name. and she starts to touch them, and he flips the fuck out.
Mhm.
He's like,
It's like,
we don't
whoa,
touch those. We don't touch them.
we don't touch them. Like this is the reading copy. And it's like ragged and worn, and she's like, oh my goodness. And oh, and like I think so many of the books in this series is often about the family, and her family plays a huge role in this. But these two are very kind of quiet and private about each other, and they really get to know each other and they support each other very, very well. Like he's anxious about some things, and she's like, well, I'll just come with you. And she does. And she is completely there for him, but not in this overbearing way. And it is, oh, I just love them. And they're perfect together. Perfect.
So, now our ultimate community winner. Uh, it came down to a tie, and I'm not going to tell you who the tie was, but our ultimate winner is Gray from The Taken One by Brittany Saheen. And Amanda broke our tie, and 3 reasons from Amanda as to why you should read this book, because I've not read this book yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gray is former military. He lost part of his leg in an operation to save another pinned down unit. He's a bit broken, but with a great sense of humor. And this is a best friend's little sister romance. And while, yes, there's a lot of emotion in this book, you are also hit with some swoony humor and just he redeems himself from being a bit of a jerk, too. So it's a little bit of a redemption arc. So Mr. Gray from The Taken One by Brittany Saheen is our ultimate book boyfriend for the community for 2023. Okay, so that ends our ultimate book boyfriend list. We have given you our 16 book boyfriends of 2023. We will be back in November with our top 16 girl crushes of 2023. So make sure you tune in for that one. So guess what, guys? It's that time for Book of
Oh,
the
oh.
Week. It's Book of the Week time. Heather, what's your book of the week?
I am reading Jill Ramsauer's Ruthless Salvation. It is book 3 in her one of her Mafia series, and we have been waiting for this one.
We have.
Torin. I'm here for him.
Okay. Carolina, what's your book of the week?
My book of the week is Everything He Couldn't by Harlow James. It's part of her new series, the Small Town series, and it's Walker. Talk about a dirty talker. He's another one. But he's been pining for the heroin, and she had like a fling with a buddy and ended up pregnant. But he passes away. And he's helping her out through all of this, and there's just like he steps up. He steps up big time.
Okay.
Hmm.
My book of the week is The Tease by Lauren Blakely. This is book 3 in the Virgin Society series. New York City billionaire. They meet at a masquerade sex party in New York City. It's an age gap. Dad's best friend. Tons of kink. He is a pleasure dom. They really get into the role playing, and he's also a single dad. And he's the single dad of a secret baby. So it's really interesting. There's a lot in this book, but the dirty talk and the spice. So if you read Highest Bidder and you were like not sure about it because it didn't quite hit the pleasure dom you thought it should hit, when I tell you to run and read The Tease by Lauren Blakely, I'm telling you to run and read The Tease. Like this.
Yeah, she's been talking about it before the book released, and we're like, Becky, you're killing us because the book isn't even released yet, and we want to read it.
Yeah, it
Correct.
comes out August. It came out August 30th, and it is in Kindle Unlimited. And the audiobook is read by Jason Clark and
Oh, So good.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not sure who the female narrator is, but I heard a sampling of it and I already pre-ordered it. Like, yes, please. This is a book that you will listen to multiple times. And the whole virgin piece makes sense. It's not the icky, she's saving herself. She's actually trying to get rid of her virginity. But it does have some mental health rep. So,
Vanessa Edwin.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Vanessa's
like
like
great casting.
queen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great
Okay.
casting.
Anyway, and Jason Clark, which
Yeah.
people,
Yes. I
people.
mean, come on.
Okay, so Patreon update. Swag packs are headed out this week. I'm so excited to share that our swag pack sponsor authors for September are authors Renee Rose, Helena Hunting, Melanie Moreland, and Kelly Elliott. New
Ooh.
So some new and upcoming releases from these authors. Renee Rose has Step Alpha Book 2 in her Wolf Ridge Academy. It's a wolf shifter romance, and it's out now. Melanie Moreland, her latest release is My Favorite Kidnapper. It's a forced proximity, grumpy sunshine romance. Helena Hunting, her latest release is Shattered Truths. It is book 3 in her next gen Puck series, and it is also out now. And then Kelly Elliott, Brave Enough, which is book 3 in the Love in Montana series. It's a next gen from Meet Me in Montana, and that is also out now. You can connect with our sponsoring authors on our website at bookcaseandcoffee.com. And thank you to these amazing authors for sponsoring our swag packs. Swag packs go out to Fancy Drinks, Cold Brew, and Queen Bee tier, and we still have fun buzzing about romance exclusive stickers, mood reader cards, and other fun things. These are going to be mailed once monthly on the 10th of the month, and we do ship these international. This is a little bit of a change. I used to ship them as soon as you joined, but in all honesty, because of life and expectations and time management, I'm going to send them out on the 10th. So if you join on the 20th of the month, you will not get your first swag pack till the following 10th. Because of our amazing Patreon members, we're able to bring you 3 episodes a week, and we are still working on our goal of 75 members so we can plan our first ever book retreat. You can find a list of events at bookcaseandcoffee.com/events, including happy hours, live IGs, and book clubs. So I have a secret, you guys. I've been keeping a secret.
Becky doesn't keep secrets. What
I
the
will
heck?
not. So if you are listening this week, I am going to be live with author Samantha Gale, and she is announcing the first ever Buzzing About Romance on location recording. We will be doing a live recording at the Barnes & Noble in Maumee, Ohio, and we'll be joined by authors Jennifer Hartman, Piper Rain, Callie Mel. There's like 6 different authors plus Samantha Gale that are 5 other authors and Samantha Gale that will be there for this live recording. It is November 18th. And I'll be doing live interviews with the author, and then the episode will drop in December. So if you are in the area and within driving distance and want to come hang out, please do so. We'll be recording the episode at 11 a.m. that Saturday morning. And then we're going to do some fun Buzzing About Romance meetup in the area. So come hang out and see me. Also, we're going to be at the HEA Readers event in Indianapolis 2 weeks before, and we'd love to see you there. And I think most of us will be there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Heather's a maybe. Carolina's a yes. I'm a yes. And I can't wait to do it. So there is that. It's going to be so fun. So ways to support the podcast. If you enjoy episodes, if you want to support the podcast, but you can't really do Patreon because we get it. Life is expensive right now. If you're enjoying these episodes, please leave us a review. If you're following us on social media, please like and comment. We would love to hear from you. We are starting to collect feedback for what we will use to help plan out the 2024 season. And you can find details about that on our website and a link to the survey on our social media. Anyway, hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me and talking book boyfriends. Thanks for choosing.
Anytime. I will happily talk about book boyfriends every day of the week.
Always.
Every day, right?
All the book boyfriends.
I love them so much. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.